I call the Planning Commission meeting for February 6, 2025 to order. We'll begin with the pledge. Jackie, will you call the roll?
Mr. Haddon?
Here.
Mr. Perkovich?
Here.
Mr. Rossetti?
Here.
Mr. Tiedemann? Here. Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from regular meeting on January 16, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. On tonight's agenda, we have no public hearings, so we're going to move straight into old business. And we have amendments to Chapter 1157.02 and 1158.05 of the Mentor Code of Ordinances. And this has been on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to remove this from the table.
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. And this has been on the agenda for a while, and we're still waiting on a few things, so I'll entertain a motion to dismiss this without prejudice.
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. On another one under old business, we have a minor subdivision of a property at 7040 Reynolds Road. That applicant has asked that remain on the table. So under new business, we have a informal rezoning of 12.7 acres from R4 to single-family residential R10 multifamily at 8245 Deepwood Boulevard. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address, and tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do. And everybody spell their name and speak clearly into the mic, or I'm going to get yelled at.
I will do my very best.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Novak, Novak, from Barrington Consulting Group. My address is 9114 Tyler Boulevard, Mentor, Ohio. This piece of property, as was mentioned, it's around 12.7 acres, and we want to rezone it to R10. We're proposing approximately 101 units. We want to do this fee simple, and it's one of the last pieces along, or I think it's the only piece left along Deepwood Boulevard. It's at the very end. It backs up to Interstate 90. The units that we're proposing, I think the most we have is 4 units per building. We want to do a little higher end. All these units have 2-car garages. And then there's another two spaces, of course, in front of the garages. We've added some additional parking. And we want to try to do some, our goal is to do some brick and so forth on the fronts of these units just to make them a little nicer. That's about all I have. If you got some more questions for me. And I do have the developer here with me, Bill Dawson. But I realize this is just an informal review, so this is more of a discussion than anything else.
Thank you. Kathy, anything from administration?
So
And could
just,
you talk, I'm sorry, could you talk a little bit about the housing study and kind of touch base a little bit in that as well?
certainly, just so for the sake of everyone here, just so everyone understands procedurally, this is just the first step in a 3-step process for any rezone. This informal discussion is just that. There is no vote taken at this meeting. The next step for the applicant is to submit a formal rezoning application where there'll be a formal public hearing, and adjacent property owners will be notified and have the opportunity to come and speak. Once that hearing is held, when the Planning Commission sees fit, they'll make a recommendation to council on the rezone and the development plan, and then council will hold a separate public hearing and then vote on it. In this particular instance, any proposal that rezones land to multifamily, the multifamily zoning classification is subject to voter referendum by charter. So the applicant is aware of that, but if they receive an affirmative vote from council, then that will be slated for the next general election, as long as it's before 60 days before that general election. So that's just the procedural end of it. And for those that aren't aware, we actually, the city conducted, with the assistance of an outside consultant, a housing study and needs analysis that was completed last year. And as part of that, we evaluated all of the housing stock in the city and the demand, in part, for alternative housing types. The existing multifamily homes that are currently within the city are affordable, but as you know, the majority of the housing stock is very dated. Most of it is 40 years old or older. This, in our opinion, at least from the administration side, this fills a need. And we have workforce housing that is in very short supply in the city. We have younger generations that would like to move back to the city after they go to college or whatnot, or start on their own, and they don't have a place to go. So this could fill a really important void in the market right now. I don't want to forget, too, our empty nesters and seniors who are also looking for some alternative housing. They want to downsize, they want maintenance-free living, and that would offer that as well. So just in a nutshell, from the housing study standpoint, this does fill that need. So we are in support of it in general terms. And I'll just add one more thing. There is a gentleman in the audience from Deepwood Condos, and maybe that might be an opportunity to generate a little bit of a discussion, because there's a request from the fire department for an emergency access point.
Thank you. So why don't we bring up Jim real quick, the Deepwood rep, and that might spur some more questions with the commission members. So is Jim Saracy. Please come up and we have your name and address. This is not a public hearing, but there will be one. This is
Yeah,
just.
I might be jumping the gun here, so.
Yeah, we figured, let's get ahead of it a little bit.
Okay, that's good. Okay. The name is Jim Sarosy. That's Sarosy. I live at 8172 Deepwood Boulevard. I live in the condos. I'm in Unit 2. So I was reading through the staff report that was forwarded to us by our management company, and it is dated, well, it's dated for today, but it was prepared by Kathy. In any event, on number 4 in the traffic, point number 4 says emergency connection to Deepwood condominiums highly recommended. Just below that, fire department comments, it says a secondary ingress and egress to the development will be required. So I saw a bit of a conflict there. Is it required? Is it recommended? Is this an absolute that it has to be done? You need a secondary ingress and egress?
Kathy?
With any development, and as the commission knows, we always want to see a second means of access. Just to point you to the development next door, the Brookview subdivision that was put in, that's probably our largest subdivision most recently put in. They agreed to install an emergency access only for that very same reason. And I think we're looking for the same thing here. It's never a good idea to have only one way in and one way out. And certainly there are older developments within the city that do have that. But we're not trying to encourage that type of development moving forward. So if it were be to emergency only access, that's, I think, what the city's fire services and police services would like to see, with it being via a gate or something, so that it would prevent normal access, everyday access, but just for them to have an opportunity in case of an emergency calls for it.
On the Brookview development, there was already an existing easement. So that was pretty simple, but this would be breaking new ground, so that's why
Yep.
we would have to give up some land. So, anyway, okay. So it would be required. Is that what I'm hearing?
Certainly from the administration standpoint, yes.
Okay, or it doesn't go forward.
Well, it remains to be seen, but I think that, we're certainly going to want to encourage that. And easement doesn't mean taking over property or giving up property, it's just a right of access. So
Okay.
it would be different. You would still own it, but there would just be an access
Okay,
right.
yeah, there's no easement where we're talking about
Right, but
here.
it would have
Yeah.
to be established.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
anything from the commission members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Farquhar?
I just want to reiterate, in my opinion, the necessity for safety vehicles for the fire department, even the police or emergency vehicles, to have that second point of access. We all know we get snow, we get, could be an accident, blocks the road, could be a lot of different things. It's essential that with a street pattern that's that long, that there be another access point. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Stevens?
just, I know it's informal, but just looking at the plans, you've got some streets that just kind of dead end. So are we going to cul-de-sac those streets, or?
Well, again, what we would like to do is have some conversations with the fire department. If you look in the Ohio Fire Code, there's an Appendix D, and there's alternatives other than a cul-de-sac. I mean, there are what's called a hammerhead and things like this. But what this Appendix D refers to is if the length of those stub streets are less than 150 feet, the Ohio Fire Code doesn't require them. So, again, we would like to have that opportunity to have that conversation with the fire department, see what can be worked out. There's always a potential to relay out the plan and probably eliminate almost all of those by interconnecting those stub streets, if you want to. I don't know if that's the right term, but we wanted to have this first and then have a conversation with the fire department to see what, if any latitude there is.
I just want to see emergency vehicles have the easiest access possible.
Mr. Chairman,
Dave?
just want to clarify, your intent is these units are for purchase condominiums and not rental units?
They would
Or
be
a combination thereof?
They would be for purchase. The word that I would have a problem with is condominium.
Okay,
That they would be fee simple. And that affords the developer and the builder, if that's this developer or somebody else, and even the future homeowners, a lot more flexibility when it comes to financing and things like that. So that would be our goal, to do it as fee simple instead of condominium. It's going to act like a condominium, but it's not. They're fee simple versus the condominium.
okay. And then the other question I have is, if we're going with multi-unit development here, what consideration have you given to less of these single-family buildings, I'll call them, single-family units, and more of a multi-story, called an apartment building, for lack of that?
We haven't looked at that as an option. We believe this fits a need in the city of Mentor, and that was kind of mentioned by Kathy.
Right, but also there is a need for apartments, too. So it could satisfy a little of both.
Again, we could surely take that under advisement. I mean, there's 12.7 acres. Under the R10, we're allowed 10 units per acre. At 101 units, I think is what we have here. We still have some flexibility if we wanted to introduce that component of an apartment.
And for reference, I consider places like Dublin, Ohio, Hilliard, Ohio, that anytime you see new development going in, it's a combination of a 4-story, 5-story apartment building surrounded by units such as you're proposing. It just is a better use of the land to, I don't want to say you're really stuffing it, but it does provide opportunities for people who financially may not be able to afford a single unit like this.
Yeah, the only thing that and maybe Kathy could answer this question, I don't know the answer, is apartments an approved use within the R10?
As long as you meet the density requirements,
Okay.
that's really the,
Okay.
And I guess where I'm going with this is if we're looking at rezoning it anyway, if that was an option, we rezone it to the one that would allow something like apartments. So, okay, that was my last question. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Varga?
so you're talking about fee simple of the unit,
Yes.
open or common space is going to be held in a,
In a homeowners
association.
association, yes.
the exterior of the buildings, they would also be covered by the homeowners association in terms of appearance, maintenance,
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
I believe so, yes. That would
So
be our
the difference
intent.
between what you're proposing and the condo is just the ownership of the unit,
It's
not
really
rest
the
of
ownership. It just allows more financing.
No, I understand.
Okay.
I want to clarify that the rest of the facility is really like what people
Yes.
think of as a condo association, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Crocker?
do you have any idea of what price point we're looking at right now, approximation?
You know, that's really hard to tell today in this market because it really changes a lot. You know, and if everything was to go perfect, you know, we would be on the ballot in November. And then from that point, we would start our construction plans and all that other stuff. So at best, and again, I'm going to assume we're going to do this in phases, you know, it could be May of '26 before we even break, you know, or have a unit ready for sale. And it's so difficult to predict what that price point would be today. So I don't really have a good answer for you.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Well, I look at the overall plan, and you got a little work to do on some connections, but I also look, because I knew somebody that lived all the way up there by the pool at Deepwood one time, and we used to drive all the way up there and drop my daughter off, but it almost would benefit Deepwood as well to have that connection as well. But that's work that you need to do.
Yes, and
Yeah.
again, we more than willing to talk with, you know, well, we need
Because
to
if
talk
they can't
to.
get up there, they could go through your development and
Right.
vice versa, but,
Right, it would benefit both us and the Deepwood condominiums.
right. And I saw this product go up like on Spear Road
Yes,
years ago, and people were driving down the street when they were going up, trying to buy them as they were going up, I remember, because I'm with a department that was doing another phase when these were
Right.
being sold, and
right,
and I can speak on the Dawson build. I know that they've shared, they've had developments around the county to where they didn't build every house in there. Okay, they might have built 10 or 12 and sold 10 or 12 lots and so on and so forth. But they also held the other builder to their standard, to their architectural standard. Now, I felt like I could always pick the Dawson home out, but the other houses, they were held to a certain standard. And they are a local builder, and based on this, we've been talking about this needs and analysis since I've been on planning. So that's just my point of view on it. I don't have any problems with it, other than you have a little legwork to do.
right.
So-
And I would agree with your comment, whether we build them all or we have somebody else build some of them. As you mentioned, the Dawson name, because their name is on it, we want to have a high-quality product that the city of Mentor is going to be proud of.
I mean, I
So-
can speak about that development in Painesville Township. Just to get in, I forget the name of it.
Cali Farms?
Yeah, yeah, and those houses there, that was a nice development, and some are Dawson and some weren't, but
Yep.
they were held to a standard,
Yes,
which I can appreciate. It wasn't like they came in there and built 3 of them and sold them to a big box place that just put up the cheapest thing they could. So I got to applaud that effort. And like I said, they're a local builder that have been here for, I don't know, 3, 4 generations. And that's all I got. But you got some work to do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to being
So
back.
you don't
and-
always get beat up when you come up
No,
here,
no,
right?
just last time I did, but we won't talk about that one. Thank you.
Also under new business, we have a site alteration of a commercial building at 866 Menor Avenue. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address. Tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
Rich Cantanzriti, that's Cantanzriti, with Land Design Consultants, Engineers, and Surveyors. And yes, we're proposing a new building, or the reimaging of the former Pummel Furniture Store and modification of the existing parking lot for Cleveland Dental Management. I'll speak about the site improvements first. Architect is here to talk about the building, but we're proposing to remove all of the pavement in front of the building, including the adjacent apron to the west. That's all going to be turned into a lawn and landscape area. We're going to be tearing out the entire parking lot on our property and replacing it with new asphalt. Also going to be seal coating the neighboring property and, striping the parking lot for the entire shared area between the buildings. The area in the back is a brand-new parking lot. That's going to be we're going to adhere to all the city requirements for parking space width and length and aisle widths. That's about it for the site. We're able to answer all the engineering and building comments, and working with Larry in the planning department, we've read through the conditions, and we'll be able to address all of those as well. One item I want to bring up, one of the conditions asks for wheel stops. We're proposing a concrete bump out there just east of the building face that's going to act as a wheel stop, and conjunction, it's going to be an under drain that's going to provide some of it's going to take some of the stormwater directly to the manhole in front of the site. As of right now, it just dumps on the pavement, and some of it gets to the storm sewer and some of it doesn't. So, anyway, Ron?
My name is Ron Kluchin, Kluchin. I'm the architect for the project. We're going to be repurposing the building, of course. The interior will be a dental clinic, and we'll be totally redoing the outside of the building as far as painting it, new roof, redoing the front of the building, matching pretty much what's there on the front, but with new materials. We were asked to possibly change the color of the piers that go across the 2 sides of the building on the east and west sides, and we will pick another color for that. This is the color board that I was asked to bring it. Of all the materials we'll be using, we have a white vinyl roof being put on the building. It has that big arched roof, which is in bad shape. And the entire building is concrete block now. And we're going to paint that tan color. Let's see. This is the roof material right now. We have to take off the existing shingle roof that's on there. It's only 6'8" high underneath it. So it's below what's allowable, actually. So we're going to raise it up, put a new roof on it. This is the brick that we're going to do on these piers on each side, covering some of that concrete block. And this material is a hardy board that goes above the windows because we're raising the canopy above the windows. So it should be a big difference for the building, and it needs it. And with the new paving and striping, the building should look much fresher than it does now.
Thank you. Larry, anything from the administration?
Nothing, just the 5.
You got to get into the mic.
I was hoping I didn't have to, I know. I told him you had a special guest tonight to keep up with. Just the 5 conditions, that's it. That's all we had. And I have spoken with Rich concerning condition number 3. It's in there just to make sure that vehicles, we have that wheel stop so we don't have cars accidentally running into the building. We want to give it a little protection there, and that should work.
Thank you. Anything from the commission members?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Davis.
I just want to applaud the new design and the retooling of the building. I think it's going to be great, the color schemes and everything. And as far as the condition number 2 with just adding that secondary color on those vertical piers, I trust with what you've got going already that will be fine and the administration could oversee that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with the 5 conditions.
Second?
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 5, under new business, we have a site alteration of a commercial building at 7461 and 7455 Center Street. Is that applicant here? Please come up and give us your name and address. Tell us a little bit about what you would like to do.
Hi there. My name's Tony Centeni. I live at 8686 Applewood Court. That's here in Mentor. My last name is spelled Centanne. For the purposes of staying legal, my legal name is Vincent Anthony. I go by Tony. Did I miss anything?
No, just
I did prepare, I guess you could say, a speech, just because I had no idea. This is not often that I even have to come to you guys. So if you don't mind, I promise it will be under the 4 minutes they told me.
Oh, you're the applicant. Take your time. Yeah.
So anyway, good evening, board members and fellow Mentor residents. I'd like to send out a special thanks to Jim Decker, Dan Perno, and Matt Donovan. Without their help, guidance, and patience, I might have given up on this process and project long ago. There are many elements that are not disclosed to you through this form, process, and or paperwork that you have. Excuse me. Regretfully, I've been forced to come to you, our Mentor board members, for help. I am more willing to discuss in great length anything needed, but I realize I have a 4-minute window to speak to you tonight. Having said that, I stand before you not only today as a resident of Mentor for 30 years, but as someone deeply passionate about our community. I've dedicated myself in many ways to name a few. I have been an assistant coach for Mentor Youth Football for 8+ years. I've served on the board of Pine Gate Homeowners Association for 4+ years. I have multiple homes catering to mostly underprivileged and affordable housing solutions. I also invest much of my time, money, and resources into our neighborhood that is thriving. Having given you that snapshot of me, I am here today to talk to you obviously about the commercial building at hand. This project is not merely about changing its structure. It's about transforming what was a horrible eyesore into hopefully a beacon of hope and beauty for us all. I have received overwhelming support from my neighbors, which I believe all of those letters are available to you, as well as thank you for the folks that have come to support me. They are here tonight because they see potential and positive change for the site. They understand that a vibrant commercial space can enhance our community's image and attract new businesses and provide a gathering place for families and friends alike. My goal from day one was to develop this building into a space where my barber and his son, Jim and Luke Howard, would be happy and proud to hang their hats. My stepfather, Ed Henry, and I and many others have poured our heart, sweat, and yes, many tears into this project because we believe in the power of transformation and improving our community. I ask you to consider this. Every decision we make today shapes the future of Mentor. By supporting this project, we are investing in our neighborhood. The positive feedback I have received echoes a shared vision of progress, enhancement, and the beautification of our city. Let us not overlook the voices who live and work here. They are excited about the possibilities that lie ahead. They do not see this project as a problem, but as a wonderful opportunity for growth. Together, you, the board members, can allow this building and my neighbors' agreements to stand on its own merits, because it reflects our values and our aspirations. I urge you to join me in supporting this project as a whole and set aside the numbers and words spelled out by ordinances and codes alone. This is not to say I do not believe in those ordinances or codes, rather to say that they sometimes need to be explored or given exceptions when dealing with unique situations like this one. Let us turn this vision into a reality for benefit for all of us who call Mentor their home. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm happy to further discuss this and take your questions.
Thank you. Kathy, could you just give us an overview of why we're here?
Certainly. So the item that's on the screen in front of you here is a proposed easement that we had indicated to the applicant that needed to be put in place because a parking lot was put in and crosses over property lines. Because it was put in without permitting, we had sent a letter to the property owner and the applicant to let them know that we actually needed to go through a process for approval. And they completed the survey. They complied with the request to make sure that we had documented the actual depiction of where the parking lot was located. And as you can see, it traverses the property line to the north and the property to the north. So we are looking at 7455 and 7461 Center Street. 7455 being the house, the existing dwelling that is to the north. As Mr. Centeni indicated, they have been working on renovating the building that's at 7461 and have been doing interior work on that with proper permits, but have been working to expand the parking area of the lot. Fortunately, again, the parking lot was improved without the permitting, and now we have a situation that the parking lot is located on what is a legal nonconforming use lot, which is a residential dwelling. We have been advised by our law department that you cannot have two uses. When you have a residential use in a business district, it can't exist on a lot with residential and commercial. It has to be maintained as a residential use, or it has to convert to commercial, which would then be conforming. It can't be both. So that is the situation we are at today, that now we have a parking lot that covers the driveway of the dwelling, and now the use of that driveway is compromised because the person that wants to access the garage for the dwelling would have to now enter onto 7461 Center Street to get to the garage. So the thought was to do this easement and there would be a shared agreement. However, now we have the fact that we have a dwelling and the owner of that property has submitted correspondence indicating that he wants to maintain the dwelling as a use on 7455. In order to maintain that dwelling, the commercial use cannot exist. So the commercial use is the parking lot. And now we have an issue where there is no proper access for the dwelling without accessing the neighboring property. So that's where we are today. And again, I have a letter that I did forward to all of you from Mr. Dummermuth, who is the owner of Mountainside Group LLC. And while he indicates that he is in full support of the improvements that are being done on the neighboring property, he wants to maintain the use of his property for residential. So that is where we are today, and I certainly defer to Mr. Brown if he would like to add anything with regard to the legalities of the nonconforming status.
Mr. Chairman, Kathy outlined that very accurately. I think that outside of some form of a subdivision, yes, the easement would change the status of that residential property. And as the owner has indicated, they would wish to maintain that current status as residents. If this easement were to be approved, it would turn it into really a mixed-use property, and so it would remove that prior legal non-conforming status of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything from the commission members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Varga?
so what are we being asked to do?
Come up with a solution now.
Well, okay. How, I have a thought, I don't know if it's a solution. Take the paved area that you have shown subdivided with parking spaces, reestablish the driveway back to the garage, and put parallel parking, I mean, not parallel,
Angle.
well, I don't know if it's angled.
Whenever it's appropriate, I'd like to
Well,
talk to you about those things.
okay, well, let me finish. So that you don't need to have that easement. The driveway would be paved to go back, you'd have a curb or some, lay down a curb, and then you could put, change the parking from head end to what do you call it, parallel parking, all the way along the back. And you probably would get the same number of spaces, because you don't need to have the crossover to the garage. That would be something that would work, I think.
Is it appropriate now?
Are you done?
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
sure,
you.
sure,
Please,
sure.
please.
I don't,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. As I started this conversation, there are many elements that I'm not denying anything that these fine folks are saying. It's all true. But there's many, many elements that are not being considered that I was not afforded the opportunity to even present before this paperwork. So I don't know really to where to go with this, other than I would be grateful to this board to, at a very minimum, allow me to not make my barber not be able to work come March 1st, which is when he's supposed to move from his current space to this space, which all along I have worked with those people that have helped me a great deal in order to accomplish that. If at a very minimum, that's all I would ask. Having said that, unfortunately, the parties that be, in other words, the guy that I bought this property from, was not forthright. And it's caused me many problems, including this one. It has nothing to do with my barber or his livelihood. These problems are all solvable. I just can't react or just keep throwing money at surveys and this and that when no one's really listening to me. So I mean no offense to anyone. I'm just trying to accomplish my goal that I stated to you in my speech. And I have multiple before and after pictures of where this thing came from and where it is now. And I just feel like I'm being penalized for doing something good. And I'm sorry that I'm saying it in this way. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings or anything. I'm just trying my best, not knowing maybe what all of these experienced people that were before me, you know, clearly they know how to do this. I don't. So,
Well, I don't think there's any question that you've made improvements to the property.
yeah.
And the biggest glitch is the guy that owns the house is fine with the parking lot unless it changes his use.
Well, we're okay with mixed use. I believe we can work through that, but we need time.
But it's, what my colleague said here was, I think the easy fix
It's not a real solution though.
is,
And I'll tell you why.
hold on one second, is to make that parking lot, reestablish the driveway, right? Put some tow stops down for the car, submit a site plan, and find some other parking on this lot. That's,
It's the reason it's not a viable solution is because I don't want to be a crappy neighbor to Carver. What it's going to do is create traffic that demands the use of their property. And I do not have that. I do not have an easement with them. I do not even want to impose on them. If I take that tiny space, I have pictures here to help if you guys want them.
yeah, we have a machine and everything here.
If you
Larry will help you out there.
if you have, this is the parking, this is the old parking. And Carver's been amazing, by the way. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, and we got his letter. He's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, Randy and Bobby, I couldn't ask for better neighbors. So, are you putting this one up that says parking for me, or where are we at? I didn't submit this, so if you're looking, I don't know what you're doing, so.
Well, while they're doing that, let me just clarify. Maybe you didn't understand the simplicity of what I was saying.
I do.
If
It's
you-
actually right there. But it creates a one-way drive. So my barber's customers will literally have to come in to a one-way drive, and they'll have no way to get out besides go and use Carver's property.
No,
That
I
will
don't-
be their only option.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And what I was suggesting could probably be done in an afternoon, and the only expense would be some wheel stops or curbing that you could drop down and repaint the lot.
I mean, I'm certainly willing to explore everything you're saying, sir. I just
And
don't.
it wouldn't require, and it would reestablish the old property line. You understand what I'm
Talking
saying?
about parallel parking.
Yeah, parallel parking, which means that there'd still be, an adequate two-lane drive going in.
It won't be, but I'm okay with it if
Well,
you guys
it
are.
would be more room than you have, well,
No, it's going to be a lot less.
no.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to shut up and I'm going to listen to your recommendations.
Okay, I don't think so. I think what I suggested would work very easily, and you might lose one parking space.
Yeah, if you look at that, Larry was just pointing out, the distance there, the 39 feet that's showing actually is the easement line. If you take out the parking with their, and, I mean, obviously, we're dealing with an existing parking lot. It is what it is. So, to Mr. Varga's point, do parallel parking or something else of that nature. Yeah, you have a narrow.
It's a narrow, but
You
it's
have a
an
narrow
existing
drive,
condition.
but it's an existing condition, just like we just saw in the previous submittal.
Right.
You're dealing with an existing lot that
Right,
that
and
doesn't
the
meet
volume
code.
of traffic is relatively small here. I think maybe the
I'll-
thing to do
I'll-
is to talk to the department and kind of work out the details. And
That's what I kind of thought we would do before we came here, to be honest.
Well, the problem is the parking lot's already built. That's the problem.
Mr. Chairman, just
I'm
to
ready.
point out, I think condition 7 also is you have to reestablish the setback from Center Street as well. So you're going to lose that parking space as well. In other words, the parking can't go right up to the street.
Yeah, it doesn't, but that's what they say it does. I have measurements on the following pages of that. I used the tape measure with myself and I took pictures of them. It's about 19 feet, I believe. Let me look. The first parking spot, the first parking line for the spot is, oh God. I should have made a bigger picture. It's considerable. I want to say it's around 19 plus feet. Way more than what it used to be before I did what I'm doing.
Okay.
And that's that distance from that yellow line to the curb, is what you're saying?
Yeah, if you look at the, I don't know what pictures, okay. Yeah, so if you look at, do you have this one, sir?
But I think what we're saying is that area would have to be somehow delineated as a no parking
What I
spot.
thought we would do is just put hash marks like they do in all parking lots when you're not supposed to park there. Which I'm more than happy to do. I was just trying to create a two-way driveway rather than a one-way driveway that's gonna use Carver as an exit. I can't control the barber's customers. I cannot control the other people's stuff. And again, there's multiple things I'd really like to talk to, maybe offline, maybe this is not appropriate. But there's multiple other issues that I'd like to talk through that I'm having. Again, my end goal for today was, let me get my barber and give me some time to figure this out. I had hoped, obviously, for you guys to maybe consider letting me and my neighbors work out what is best for us on a really messed up parcels. I hear you, sir, and I greatly appreciate your recommendations. I know you're trying to make it easy for me, and I should just take it and leave. But I'm trying to do what's best for my neighbors, and I'm also trying to do what's best for my tenants. And the old way was garbage, and it's going to create problems. So at a very minimum, please give me some time to work through this. At a
Chairman.
very maximum, let me work it out with my neighbors.
Hold on one second. Mr. Tiedemann.
Just a couple questions. On this parcel, are there two buildings on your parcel?
There is.
Okay, is there anything going on in the back
The
building?
rear buildings right now are just storage.
Okay, why can't we park back there?
Well, I would like them to be something.
Okay. Do we,
you know.
what, and I apologize, do we have a number of parking spaces we think we need for a business like this?
Well, so what we normally do with any use that comes in is they get an occupancy and we determine what the use is so that we can make sure that the parking matches the use with what is in the code. So when the barber shop came to us, with the occupancy permit, and this was up for discussion because we don't have a final parking plan, we can't issue the occupancy because we don't have a confirmation of the parking that's approvable. So that's why it's before you. The other issue is I know I keep hearing words like make exceptions. Planning Commission is not in the position to do that. I mean, obviously, they can go to the Board of Zoning Appeals if they want to have variances from the code, but, I mean, and I just need to say, no, nobody's trying to make the business not thrive, and nobody wants to see them fail. We just have a process to follow, and that's what we're trying to do. So, the reason it's before you is because we don't have an approvable plan, and we need to come to that solution. And everybody wants to see that happen, but we just need to do it within the parameters that the code allows us to do. We have a property owner who now doesn't want to lose his use, and we have to respect that. Unless the two owners want to get together and talk about possibly, purchase or whatever, but that's obviously beyond anybody here to do that. So we still need parking that's approvable for the lot that has a use that's ready to go in. And we are all for getting that use up and running. Nobody's wanting to hold that back. But we still need to do it in a lawful way. And that's where we're at. So,
Thank you.
She brought up many valid points, and I appreciate that, Kathy. But also, there's again a ton of data that you don't know right now, and one of the suggestion is first and foremost what I would like to do, which is get that property owner out of the picture. It has been the position that I've taken from day one, and unfortunately, for lack of better words, was tricked into a different position. And I know that's not your fault. I know that's not their fault. I know that's not anyone's fault. But here I am in the predicament that I am. And from day one with Jim and Dan and, all the people that I have dealt with up until this point, the goal has been to get my barber in this place. And now all of a sudden I can't. So please, pretty please, let me have some kind of temporary solution to get this done, and then we can work through it however we have to work through it.
Mr. Varga.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to suggest that there's nothing in front of us that we can do about this right now, other than to table it and to have him come back with a proposal that we can review and approve.
And I think it's here.
think.
I think the solution is here. You can come up with a solution and the barber can be in there.
And to work with the city in the development of that,
Right.
this proposed parking plan. But there's nothing we can do that.
You have enough asphalt down to accommodate both uses. It's just how you were manipulating the lines here. I think the answer's in front of you.
I mean, I'll do whatever it is you want me to do, and I'm gonna do it, but it's not gonna work, so thank you.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Motion to table.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. Does that wrap it up for the night? We have a site alteration, parking lot expansion at 8604 Munson Road. Is that applicant here? Please give us your name and address. Tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do.
Thank you, Chair.
We're
Chairman
poking
Cook.
fun. This is
Understood.
a city project.
Yes.
Sorry we made you wait till the end.
That's okay. I'll take that up with Kathy. My name is Ken Kaminsky. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Mentor, and I'm here with Nita Justice, the Recreation Superintendent, to talk about this project where we want to expand the active footprint of Civic Center Park. This is designed to handle some of the recreational needs that we have in the community with the additions of the pickleball courts and expansion of the basketball courts, but most importantly in this two-phased approach, it gives us the ability to add parking. As you've seen with all of our activities that we host here at the amphitheater, as well as the ice arena, swimming pool, pickleball courts, parking is becoming very difficult. We think it's important to be able to add these 152 spots in phase one to be able to handle all of our recreational needs and desires, not just now, but into the future. The phase two part of it is to really get into the paths throughout the woods to be able to take into account the nature and the stream and tie in the existing paths that we have there. And then that's probably the most important aspect of phase number two. The second part that you see on that plan right there is the permeable pavers for potential parking in that area that Larry's showing right there. We have that there because we don't know what the demands are going to be in the future, but that is not necessarily a desire at this point or next year to take that endeavor on. Another main reasons why we wanted to move the basketball courts over into that area is because where they're currently sitting, they're literally right next to our handicap accessible playground, where they need to, the basketball clienteles and the kids that use that really aren't cohesive with each other, as well as the pickleball courts. As we know, recreationally, the pickleball courts is a sport that's continually expanding. As you've seen when you go by there, it is always very crowded, and we believe adding those 7 courts to that facility will be able to handle quite a few of those needs. The last reason for this plan is the plan of the swimming pool that will be coming to you. We have some enhancements that we're going to be doing to the swimming pool, which is going to drive the attendance back up, and so the parking is going to be at a premium. Both Nita and myself are here to answer any questions that you may have, or some clarification if necessary.
Thank you. Kathy, anything from administration?
I have nothing.
Anything from commission members?
I have a couple questions,
Mr. Varga?
as I always do. Just, I noticed the permeable paving area is kind of just an amorphous kind of shape. If you were really going to put parking there, it would just be an extension of the kind of parking layout that you have on the other side?
That's correct.
I mean, you'd have to have aisles and.
That's
So it
correct.
would be something like that. And in speaking to represent the 12 to 14-year-old boys that are going to lose their skate park, is there any, I mean, has it been perceived that the skate park is not useful any longer, or it's not being used?
That's correct. That skate park, because of the location and the age of it, is not used very well or very much. The skate park that we have up in Tiffenbach Park is extremely popular and crowded all the time. It's got much newer and advanced type of tricks, if you will, than that type.
Good. I just wanted to represent.
Understood.
12-year-old Jeff.
My son was a skateboarder, and I spent many days there watching him skate.
Understood.
Mr. Chairman? Just a
Mr. Murray.
suggestion with this additional parking to the, what is that, the south and east, or south and west? You may want to consider an additional entrance to the pool from that side,
That's some of the things that we're currently looking at, yes.
because it's a long walk around.
Understood. And we also believe that during the events that we host, that they're all going to be coming through that backside in between the pickleball courts and the pool as well. This also helps us with the parking during the football games and the activities that we have at the ice arena. When those interfere, it gets kind of hairy at times.
This would make a really nice paid parking lot for football.
It would.
Reserve parking.
Mr. Varga?
I drove by there as I came to the meeting tonight. It's a very nice wooded area. Can there be some sensitivity to maintain as much of the natural tree environment, even between the road and the parking lot?
Yes, absolutely.
To try to maintain that, because it's a nice wooded area.
It is, and we understand that trees do have to come down to be able to have this expansion, but it's important for us to be able to maintain as much as we have, as well as enhance it with trees from our tree farm that we run in the city as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Crocker?
There's an area right by the drop-off, open lawn area for events. So we're talking about like something you can rent out for a private event, or is this just city events, or what was the plan for that area?
It's not, it says events, that's a little bit misleading. It's basically an open area that people can recreate. When we host big events at the swimming pool, like our champs swim meet that we host, we encompass all of the pickleball courts and any grass in the area, and that's what it would be used for.
Bocce courts would be nice.
Bocce courts, there you go.
Take over from the Italian-American Club in Wicklow,
Is there anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Ken. So on this phase 2, the permeable paver area, now I think, was it Jeff that mentioned if that actually turns into an actual paved parking lot, is that maybe phase 3? But my question really was for phase 2, this permeable paver, is this, for example, masonry pavers, or is this that fiberglass grid type thing where you put that down, the limestone kind of goes over, and then it gets planted, and so it looks like grass, but yet can handle the weight?
Yes, our goal is if that does get to be expanded there, it is to be able to make it look like grass. What type of paver it's going to be, I don't know the answer to that. We would have to work with the engineers on that.
Yeah, 'cause a grassy area might do dual purpose. It would be stable enough for cars when needed, but yet maybe, you know, a good play area for something too, so.
It is. It's not our desire to asphalt everything.
Right.
We'll never be able to meet our needs to be able to handle every vehicle in here, but we've got to continue to plan for the future
Right.
on that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with the 5 conditions.
Second?
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy, anything?
Nothing else.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.